Remember when we were kids, we would say, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me"? We've all heard that, and it's a lie. Words can hurt. They can shape your self-worth. They can shift your identity. They can steal your joy or restore it. Because what you repeat, you start to believe. And what you believe, you start to build your life around. Welcome to Psych for the Soul, a space where we explore identity, alignment, and the psychology of becoming, one honest conversation at a time. This episode is about how the words you repeat, whether consciously or not, shape what you believe, how you feel, and the life you ultimately build. By the end, you'll know how to recognize the language that's keeping you stuck and replace it with words that move you forward with intention and clarity. Now, let's talk about the words that are writing your life. Let's start with the science. There's a well-documented phenomenon in psychology called the Illusory Truth Effect. Participants in a 1977 study done by Temple University were asked to rate how true certain statements felt to them. What they didn't realize is that some of those statements they were told were totally false. And here's what happened. When they heard the same false statements repeated over time, their belief in them increased by over 20%. Not because anything changed, but because their brains got used to the message. And this just doesn't happen in experiments. It happens in our lives too. Let's take Tabitha Brown, for instance. She was once an aspiring actress working in retail. She was struggling with an illness, trying to support her family, and not getting the opportunity she wanted. She didn't have access or visibility or momentum, but she had language. She started speaking peace before she felt it, saying things like, "All is well," or "Speak what you seek until you see what you said." She showed up online with love, calm, and consistency. Her voice became a safe space in a chaotic world, and people responded. Now she's a best-selling author, a brand partner, and a role model. But the shift didn't start with strategy. It started with what she repeated and believed. We could also look at Tyler Perry. He had a different kind of beginning. He was in and out of homelessness. He'd saved $12,000 to stage his first play and barely sold any tickets. For years, no one was paying attention. But he kept writing, kept producing. More importantly, he kept declaring what he believed. He'd repeat the same statement, "This is what I'm called to do," not once and not casually. He repeated it when he was broke, when his work flopped, when no one clapped. That repetition, backed by action, built resilience. It also built alignment between his identity and his destiny. Today, he owns a movie studio larger than Disney's in Atlanta. But the foundation wasn't money, it was language, spoken with intention and belief. We even see this effect showing up in advertising and marketing. Remember those Got Milk commercials from when we were kids? Well, by the early 1990s, milk sales were declining, so the dairy industry launched a campaign, one of the most successful of all time. TV commercials, magazine ads, celebrity endorsements. Everyone from Serena Williams to Bart Simpson wore milk mustaches. And the message was simple. Milk builds strong bones. It was catchy, uplifting, familiar. But here's the problem. It wasn't actually true. A 12-year Harvard study later showed no strong link between milk consumption and bone health. In some cases, countries with the highest milk intake had the highest rates of bone fractures. By the end, the damage or the branding was done. Millions believed it and still do, because the phrase was repeated loudly, lovingly, and everywhere. Repetition didn't prove the message. It just made it feel more true. Now, here's something more personal that literally proves how powerful our words are. There's an experiment based on the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, who studied how words and intentions influence water molecules. Some people adapted it to using rice. 3 jars of cooked rice. To one, you speak kindness, words like "you are loved" and "thank you." To another, you speak hatred, things like "you're worthless" or "I hate you." And to the third, you say absolutely nothing. I've seen countless people try this experiment out at home. I even tried it myself with my son. And after a month, the rice we spoke love to was still intact. The one we criticized turned soupy and sour. And the one we ignored, moldy, rotten, and far worse than the others. It shocked us. If words can do that to rice, what are they doing to our bodies, our children, our relationships? Words aren't neutral. They carry weight, energy, even when whispered, even when ignored. Now, let's look at when words don't just influence perception. They rewrite reality in devastating ways. In 1989, 5 boys, Black and Latino, ages 14 to 16, were arrested for the assault of a white jogger in Central Park. They became known as the Central Park Five. Before trial, before evidence, before facts, the media labeled them the wolf pack, animals, thugs, guilty. Their faces were plastered across newspapers with words that convicted them before any courtroom ever did. The truth? They were innocent. The confession was coerced. The real assailant confessed years later. But by then, they had already spent years in prison. Not because of any evidence, but because of language. When the words are repeated long enough, they don't shape belief, they shape policy, and they change lives. So, what does this all mean for you? It means the words you're using, the words you're used to saying about yourself, your body, your worth, are doing more than just filling silence. They're building stories. And those stories become rules, unspoken ones, like, I'm never going to figure this out. I'm not creative. People always leave. Sometimes we don't say them out loud. Sometimes we just think them. But the repetition still sticks. And if language is powerful enough to mislead the public, move products, mold rice, then it's powerful enough to make you believe you're not enough when you actually are. So, how do we undo it? I'll give you a few steps. 1, we have to stop the loop. What phrases do you say over and over? Are they helping you grow, or are they keeping you small? 2, trace it back. Where did that belief even start? Was it passed down? Was it picked up from someone who didn't know better? 3, replace it with something intentional, not fake positivity, real grounded truth. I'm learning. I'm making progress. This version of me is just the beginning. 4, say it until it sticks. Use repetition on purpose. Write it, say it, mean it, until it becomes familiar, until it starts to feel like you. And 5, speak life to others. Your words just don't shape your world. They shape hers too. The woman on your team, the girl you just scrolled past, the friend you think is fine. Your voice is powerful. Use it to build every chance you get, because you never know what somebody else is going through. If you've been feeling stuck or unsure or just craving a deeper version of yourself, don't start with a new plan. Start with your words. Because your language isn't just background noise. It's the blueprint for what you build next. And maybe, just maybe, you've been repeating doubt long enough. What if today you repeated truth? If this resonated with you, subscribe. Share it with someone who deserves to be spoken to with care today. And pay attention to the words you use this week. Because life and death are truly in the power of the tongue. And today, you get to choose which one you speak. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep becoming. Have a good one.